I've never had one conversation with the president or the vice president for that matter. And so I was the chief of the Border Patrol. I commanded 21,000 people. That's a problem.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about President Joe Biden never speaking to the chief of the U.S. Border Patrol up until recently. As a matter of fact, there were two, one of whom was under Trump and under Biden. He retired during Biden. The new guy they brought on, he just spoke to him last Thursday for the very first time. Now, I'm no mathematician, but y'all please bear with me. Now, Biden's been in office, since January 21? We're now in the 24, and he's spoken to the Border Patrol chief just one time. There's been two guys. He didn't speak to the first one at all, and the new guy he just met and just spoke to for the very first time. And I think the same thing can be said for the so-called border czar, Kamala Harris. Now, if the president and the vice president are not speaking to the Border Patrol chief, then what are we doing? How do you have any kind of grip on the border? Don't they say, speaking about the Biden administration, oh, the border's closed, it's not open? If that's the case, I can't tell. If you have a grip on the border, why don't you speak to the Border Patrol chief? Do you not care? You're just letting things happen? Or maybe you're too busy suing Texas and other parts of the country, DeSantis. You're suing them over their efforts to stop the illegal aliens from pouring across the border. You're too busy doing that than to go down there and talk to them and ask what they want. Hey, there's a problem down here. We have an all-time record high number of illegal crossings. What do you guys need? That kind of talk isn't really happening. It's just a matter of letting things go on until it comes to an end or until it kind of slows down due to the efforts of states. Then you want to get in the way. That seems to be a very strange policy. Now, before I go any further, let's check out a couple of clips here. Actually, there's a few clips we're going to get into. We're going to get into Raul Ortiz, the former U.S. Border Patrol chief, and then we're going to get into a lot more. We're going to get into Kirby talking about a few things, basically admitting what I'm talking about. And if you want to see any of these clips in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
You don't just plant a flag just to plant a flag. It's got to be strategic and it's got to make sense.
Raul Ortiz served as chief of the U.S. Border Patrol under President Biden and deputy chief under President Trump.
Please pardon the pausing because 60 Minutes does do copyright strikes. So not strikes, but claims. Please pardon the pausing.
He retired last year.
When agencies are making a decision based upon politics or whether they're going to get media coverage, hey, we're going to put all our personnel in this 2-mile stretch. What about the other 200 miles?
Now, what he's talking about right here, specifically, I think is Greg Abbott doing certain things. We'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later. I understand what he's saying. I'm not trying to downplay it, but I got to explain. I got to add a little bit more to what he's talking about.
In our interview, Ortiz criticized Governor Abbott for not cooperating with the Border Patrol and playing politics with immigration. But he also expressed frustration with President Biden.
Now, about Greg Abbott, there were certain things that were done for media attention and for the attention of other states, like the busing of people to Chicago, New York, etc. But see, the thing is, when you have all these states that want to be sanctuaries and welcome all the illegal aliens, that puts a lot of pressure on Texas when the federales are not going to help because that's a responsibility. The border is a federal thing. When they are purposefully not doing what they need to do to secure the border, then you got to think about different ways to get things done, which could include getting attention, getting media coverage, and having other states feel what you guys are feeling. So they are forced to get on board with your ideology of having the border become secure from the federal government. You got to get people like Eric Adams and whatnot on board to put pressure on the federales, you see?
I've never had one conversation with the president or the vice president for that matter. And so I was the chief of the Border Patrol. I commanded 21,000 people. That's a problem.
I just saw 50 people today who had just crossed the border illegally. So something's not working.
Obviously, something's not working, and it's by design. The feds don't want the border to be secure. The feds want the border to be open to allow all these illegal aliens to come in to replace many Americans. That, in my opinion, is the ultimate goal here.
We need to make sure that Central America, South America, Mexico, that those regions understand that if you pay a smuggler and you cross in between the ports of entry and you do not have a legitimate claim to some sort of asylum benefit.
I mean, asylum benefit, if you got an asylum benefit, then why are you paying that coyote 5-10 grand? I mean, if you got that kind of money, then you must not need asylum. If you got money, you coming over here paying that much money to get more money. That's what you're doing. You're not some kind of tired, poor, hungry person coming from the Chinese mainland, the Indian subcontinent, the Middle East, Africa, Europe. You're not a person seeking asylum. The overwhelming majority of these so-called asylum claims are bogus. They're bogus.
Benefit, you're going to be sent back.
Do you believe that the White House has sent mixed messages to migrants?
Yeah, most definitely.
So far, the governor has committed more than $11 billion to Operation Lone Star.
Why are they doing this dramatic pan up of the razor wire? They need this razor wire. This is very well done, actually. You got the overhang, so you can't climb it, really. You have to just, if you were to try to climb this metal here, you just would run into the wire. Now, I don't know about the edge. I don't know what's on the other side of that. Is it just open, like what's happening right there?
Over the last 3 years, the percentage of people entering Texas illegally has dropped while rising in other border states. Abbott's critics say that has more to do with other factors, like crackdowns on migration in parts of Mexico. There are still more than 1 million.
Well, also because Texas is doing certain things to prevent illegals from crossing. Texas has certain things they're doing, plus there's policy in Mexico. And I heard through the grapevine, I think I read this somewhere actually, that there was a deal struck in Mexico and some money was given to their government to crack down on illegal immigration right there. And the deal expires after the election. I heard that. If that's incorrect, y'all let me know in the comments.
Illegal border crossings in Texas every year. There are also at least a dozen lawsuits being fought between Texas and the federal government over immigration issues.
The lawsuits are over Texas trying to secure the border because, again, the border is a federal issue. So if Texas does certain things as a state to control the border, then the feds are suing because they are kind of overstepping the boundaries. It's like, hey, what are you doing? That's not your job, your responsibility. You're in the way of federal jurisdiction. So that's where a lot of the lawsuits are. The feds want Border Patrol to be one way. Texas thinks differently, and that's the problem.
All that infighting worries former Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz.
The National Guardsmen, even to some degree the Border Patrol agents, have become pawns in this political game between the two sides.
Who's winning?
The cartels, the criminal organizations, that's who's winning in all of this.
Well, of course, the cartels are going to win because at the end of the day, the government has the border wide open. So, yeah, the cartel is going to win. Ain't no doubt about that. Now, I'll leave that right there. There's one more piece here. This is your man, John Kirby, Biden spokesperson. Let's hear him talk about Biden never meeting his own Border Patrol chief until just last Thursday. Check it out.
John, how has he never spoken to, and you know what, we did some reporting on this earlier today, not only Raul Ortiz, the former chief of the Border Patrol, but the current chief of the Border Patrol, Chief Owens, who you pointed out he did meet with in Brownsville, but from what we could find out, they had never spoken before that. How is that possible?
So again, Raul Ortiz, that's who we just saw, who was talking about the border. And now the new guy, he just met him last Thursday. You've been in office since January 21. You're for the very first time meeting your Border Patrol chief. That's crazy. Why? It's because you want the border to be open. You don't care about meeting with the Border Patrol chief. You don't want them to do their job.
Well, the president's engaged with the DHS. He's engaged with leadership there.
But why not the Border Patrol?
He's engaged with the Border Patrol. Martha, he was just down there at Brownsville meeting and talking to those folks directly and hearing from them
But he never met with
about
the
situation on the
former or
ground.
current chief. The current chief he just met, he's been president for 3 years, just met him the other day.
He again is engaged with everybody at DHS.
Yeah, that's crazy. John Kirby is a terrible spin artist because that spin didn't spin at all. That spin pretty much sat right stationary, sat right in place.
Including the Border Patrol down there at Brownsville, talking to them on the ground, hearing from them directly about what their concerns are.
Okay.
If his spin was on a set of tires, it'd be stuck in the mud right now. So yeah, shout out to John Kirby for that no spin, no response to Joe Biden meeting for the very first time his Border Patrol chief. Now, as I close, I want to say this. I'm not surprised at all about what Joe Biden has done or not done when it comes to the border. Also, Kamala Harris, the entire administration. I think we all know at this point that they want the border to be open for whatever the reason may be. Maybe to get in a new batch of voters, maybe to just have very low wages, to get around the very high minimum wages, to help the economy. There's a reason, there's a purpose for this. And it's obvious, whatever the reason is, that they're doing it on purpose. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about Biden and Kamala and all the rest of them never meeting the Border Patrol, especially Joe Biden, for the very first time he met the Border Patrol chief? Meanwhile, there's a whole border crisis going on. Why would you never talk to the actual chief? Why would you never meet face to face? Like, what's going on with that? I think we all know, but whatever your reasons, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is being done on purpose. And at this point, it's become comically obvious. They couldn't make it any more obvious if they tried. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.